I think we're live. All right. Hopefully that all worked. And then I think I've actually got it down to a science here. Much quicker than it has been in the past. Cool. Yeah, that's it. We're live and like actually set up. That's exciting. Give everybody a minute to actually join in though. We're early. What an exciting year. So exciting. Oh no. I have an alarm going off. Here we go. $2025 in the books. Should we play music for that? Probably not. I should close this and probably this. Is that all shown? No. There we go. What happened to my screen? Everything's like slightly off. How did that happen? See if we can get that set up before we start. All right. Like a professional, not doing anything live. That would be amateur hour. Did I turn on something wrong here? I think I might have actually. Whoops. Let me see if I can turn that off. Let's check it. Yeah, I gotta edit that real quick. All right, perfect. Now I think we're good. Hey, chill. Yeah. I didn't do any burpees today, by the way. I'm in a lot of pain from yesterday's 1200. That was um I don't want to say dumb, but I mean kind of dumb. I knew what I was getting into though. Did you end up doing any? You said you was it you that said that you might start doing some? Was it you or nailing my head? Probably maybe it was nailing my head. You know, it took 4 hours. So, that was smart man. Yeah, probably better that way. Yeah, it took 4 hours. I started at 10:30 in the morning, wrapped up just at 2:15. I guess 3 hours 45 minutes. It was you. Hey, look at that timing. You. I said your name and you arrived. You didn't today. Well, first off, the day's not over. You got hours, unless you're in Europe, and then you probably have like minutes, or it's already 1 a.m. But you can still do it. It's not too late. You don't have to do 1200. You could just do like 100 or even 10. Get it kicked off. But yeah, that was a big effort, and I hurt all day today. After that, I worked out this morning, but it was active recovery. So it is what it is. Pennsylvania. Is that where you're gonna do it? That means you have plenty of time. That's East Coast. You got 4.5 hours of time to do burpees. You could do a 1200 apparently in that time. You might not go to sleep for a while, but you could do it. That's one way to do it. All right, let's see if this is. It just doesn't feel like it's set up right still. What did I do? Okay, that's better. Is that all I needed to do? Maybe that's all I needed to do. How does TradingView look on this? Oh, that's fine. Oh, perfect. Oh, that's right. You can never see the watch list. I guess we can just move it all over a little bit. I mean, I guess I could just do full page, full screen. Like, who cares that much? Is that? Yeah, there we go. That's perfect. That all fits. Look at that. You can't see extended hours, but There's nothing exciting going on at extended hours today. Galaxy is up another percent post, so that's kind of nice. After heavily rejecting the neckline of the Head and Shoulders that I was genuinely concerned about. I mean, we tested it once and then we tested it a second time. That was not good. I mean, you could. I guess you could move this up a little bit where it actually touched twice. There you go. So yeah, that was dire straits there twice. We needed today. We needed today to clean that up. What's up, Four Gunner? Welcome. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone. 2026. I'm not sure it rolls off the tongue like 2025 did, but it is what it is. We work with what we've got to work with, right? Did anyone have any big winners today? Why don't we start with the big winners today? RCAT is the top of the chart, by the way, on my follow list. 15.5%. That was pretty nuts. Bob Dog, I told him when it was up like 1%, he goes, where's everybody rotating their money into? I go, RCAT, obviously. Totally not joking at all, and here we are, 15% on the day. Didn't put it on the trading floor, but you sold some Galaxy 25Ps. All right. I like it. What did that... oh, so you in the money. Okay. That's bullish. I appreciate that as a current holder. 25 is 34. Look at that, dude. We touched the 21 EMA to the dollar, to the penny, I think. Like actual penny. Let's see. We can look. So 24.89. And our high of the day was 24.88. Okay, maybe not to the penny, but within a penny. That's pretty good. I'd call that pretty good. Yeah, applied at a good one. 15% are there. None of these top four are mine, but I have Ondas. Excuse me. I got Ondas after that bark. I wonder if it had a weekly bark. It might have with that performance this week. It did. Wow, big weekly bark. Look at that. Buy signal right there. I got my 12C that's eventually going to get assigned. It seems pretty inevitable. The question is, do I roll it out again? And I'm like, I don't know if I like ONS that much. So I'm thinking no. Am I on logarithmic? I am. That's okay. I kind of like a logarithmic better the more I've been messing around with it. I don't know if you guys have done it. You can see average advisor's target. That's what that giant arrow is. Maybe I should move that here now that we're past it. Something like this. Maybe I should just delete it. It's ridiculous. Oh, week in review. Yep, that's happening right now. So, week in review. I'm actually going to do a little year in review. CoreWeave, another one. Okay, maybe I don't like the log scale if it's going to do this every time I click on it. That's obnoxious. Oh, you know what? I got to turn off the fibs. Does that fix it if I just turn off fibs? It does. Okay, perfect. Who would have known? CoreWeave had a great day. We peaked at 81.50. That was nice. I needed that too. I got a lot of CoreWeave and CoreWeave X. So I'm excited about that. I've got some covered calls at 95C. I bought back my 90s. I had some 90Cs, or no, 100Cs for January 16th. Got those back this week. Galaxy, we just talked about, another winner. Winner, chicken dinner. We'll see that one launch again. Lunar, man, remember how I chickened out on buying Leaps here at 8? I was like, oh, I should totally buy Leaps, and then I never did. And here we are. Rocket Lab, another rocketing company. Today Rocket Lab was filling out this handle. We dropped. You can see it with the wick, but we dropped into the handle and then just like, nope, we don't have time for the handle. We just got to keep going up. And then Joby and Archer. Archer hasn't had any positive momentum here for a while, but we could see there's some double bottom going on here. I could see us making a stand at this random support level that I'm not sure is a real support level, but I'd love to see that take off again. You sold ONS 10 and 10.5 last week for 1.9. You say that, but look at ONS. Like, for a second, look at what ONS tends to do. Big green bar, bunch of red. I mean, 1-9 is what? 5 days away? One, two, three, four, five. You might be okay if we repeat this pattern right here. It hasn't done it hasn't done what you're imagining since back here, since August, when it was just an absolute tear of a run. It was a cup and handle into a bull flag into just absurdity. So yeah, I think you might actually have a chance. I think it's a little early to call it gone, gone for sure. We could see a retrace, and on the weekly again, even though it's a buy signal, I mean look at the bars. The bars have been all over the place here, and big greens have had big reds. So I'm not sure we're out of the woods here yet. We did just complete a little bit of a cup here. That's kind of cool. Where's my volume at? Not a good looking cup. No, you can't call this a cup. The volume's backwards, actually. Volume was increasing here. That's weird. Yeah, so yeah, I think you're fine on ons. Ons does burpees. It does. Ons just constantly up and down, up and down, up and down. That is dead on. That image of ons. Is ons bullish engulfing on the weekly? Is what I'm assuming you're talking about. Yes, on the weekly, yeah, for sure. Um, it's also like there was some consolidation basically all of December, which is kind of nice. So I think depending on how you stretch this, you probably could have drawn a bull flag here. Something like boom, and then I mean pretty light consolidation on the weekly, but I mean that kind of counts. I would say that's a bull flag into what we got here. What does that look like on the daily? Not sure. Kinda. Yeah, kinda. A little uglier on the daily with the big drops intra week, but you don't even see that on the weekly. They're just wicks, right? When we looked at the weekly, they weren't. Yeah, that's fine. You can bring this down a little bit, I guess. But yeah, that could definitely be what we're observing, which is it bodes well for ons. New mindset, new stock to wheel. What are you interested in? That's the question. Dude, Archer, I didn't realize had an 8% day, by the way. That's pretty sweet. 7.5 for NBiz, which also I got NBill, so that felt good. 15%er on that one. Same CoreWeave X, got a 22%er again. I mean, this one was 40%, but I'll take it. The problem is, it's not even where it was after that last run up. So I think it's a good sign, though. I think we're really showcasing how people were tax loss harvesting all of December, basically, or at least the very end of it. And now people have rotated, they've repositioned, and here we go. It's off to the races again. ASTX, ASTSX, the ARC X. Isn't that what this is? No, this is Archer. Oh, this is Archer. I have ASTX is the 2X for ASTS. That's right. The only thing that I was kind of disappointed on today was METU. I don't know what's going on here. Like, this was a nasty candle. Kind of maybe it's a bit of a stretch to call that a red hammer, but could be. And I haven't looked at Adobe G in a while, but look at that. What happened to Adobe? What did I miss on Adobe? They didn't have earnings or anything, right? Jeez. There's nothing. Did I miss something? What's my Connell position? Oh, I did. Yeah, I got puts. So I got. They were last week. They expired last week. So I have 1,300 shares now. I got I got somewhere over here. I got a bunch more. Let's see. Connell. My dog's barking. That's great. We did 400 more shares. At 17, we got another 400. So brought our cost basis down, and that takes us to a total of, I think, 1,500 shares, which isn't even on this list because my list is full over here. But yeah, I have 1,500 shares at Connell, which is great. I'm happy with that. And honestly, today was I didn't even think about Connell, but that was another a 9% day for them too. That's pretty nice. And 1% after hour on them. What's BTC doing right now? 90. We broke 90. Look at that. Beautiful. It's been a while, BTC. Welcome home. Let's get back above that 90 plus. I think we got to close next week, is it? I forget which week it is, but we're wedging. We're definitely wedging here, and I think in a week or two it's takeoff again. We did test the 100 SMA on the weekly multiple times. It's good to look at Bitcoin in the monthly too, by the way. Yeah, I mean the bite indicator's a little scary. Bark, bite. These are bites. So big sell candles on the monthly, but the thing is, I mean, look at this. It was a sell candle and then two greens in a row. That's 3 months. It did drop big time, by the way, to that. But yeah, I don't know. I think we're in a good spot. Will we test all the way back to this random line I drew? I hope not. I don't even remember what that line is from. I think if I were to redraw that, it would be more like this anyway. So yeah, I mean, we're definitely very, and we're on logarithmic. That's the other thing. So yeah, we're in a good spot here. I think we might end up taking back off. I'm gonna hide this one for a second. So one thing I've been messing around with a little bit lately is the Gann square. I assume it's Gann. I don't know. I never actually looked to see or like listen to what somebody said it was. Oh, I have it here. Where do we want to pick a point? I think we can do it from probably down here. We don't have to go back forever. And then we have to move it out a bit. And then let's see. Oh, I gotta click it. Darn it. I didn't zoom out enough, I guess. These are hard. There's actually like specific values that you're supposed to choose. I like to line up the peaks, like kind of like the fibs, and then see from there if you can find symmetry. So this peak is one that I chose, obviously, and then we don't. Am I back? I really hope this doesn't become a regular occurrence here today. That's annoying. I think I'm back. I like how it says no dropped frames, but I just fully disconnected, so there's that. I don't know. Hopefully it's back on. OBS dropped out. Hey, YTP. Did you add more? Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Well, I just explained the Gann square unnecessarily to the void, and I don't really want to talk about it again. So we're going to just move on to the next thing. But we were playing around with that for a minute. And I did want to look at F, too. So Bitcoin had a good day. F, oh, I'm on the monthly for F. Daily. All right, so look, I mean, one of the things that I've been looking at is more chart patterns, and this is what you would maybe call an Adam and Eve bottom, where it's like a triangular version and then a rounded one. And we're starting to see some curve up here. Might pass back over the right direction for the EMAs. That would be nice. But yeah, 5% is a great day. Great day. Fantastic. Hey Superman, good to see you too. Yeah, sorry I disconnected. I don't know what happened. Like that was just my end, full drop of internet. I looked and it said you're not connected to the internet at all. Like, oh, that's weird. Thank you for letting me know. I don't plan on going super long tonight, by the way. That's part of why I started early. I guess I'll mention that now. I got to go to a polar plunge tomorrow, so I can't hang out for ever tonight. Also, I started dry January, so it may not be as fun if I'm not drinking. I don't know. I'm probably more fun when I'm drinking. Apologies in advance But let's go back to what we were looking at. We had some really nice movement on Lightpath. Is anyone on Lightpath? Well, this cup never happened. It just blew through that. I'm covered at 10. These are most likely disappearing, which is cool. I'm good if these go away. Free up some cash. It was a nice run. I didn't have the cost basis was like 890 or something, so all good. Yeah, I think I bought them somewhere here, which was like, oh yeah, it's gonna keep going up. No, no, I could have got them at 6 if I waited a couple weeks or a week. And then the big one for me is, well, Bull was great, NBIZ was great. Bull had a 5% day, first time in a while. Reddit was interesting. I was watching this today, and we dropped back down to 227 ish, 228, 228. And I actually thought about buying it back. I had 235C that got called, that will get called away tonight, obviously. And it's, oh wow, Post is even up. I bought back my 245Cs that were intaxable for like 9 cents or 5, yeah, 9 cents. And then these I just let go. And historically, Reddit, when it has a real big green candle, is almost always followed by a real big red one. Now, obviously, exceptions to the rule on that. If you're going down and have a nice big green one here, catching you back up, yeah, not after that. But when you just have in a vacuum a big green one, is very typical to see this, where you just get a couple of reds. So I'll probably sell 235 Ps for next week. Like that's what I did last week. I got assigned at 230, and then I sold them the following week for 230 Ps. And then I just sold 235 Cs, and I'll probably sell 235 Ps. And if I get assigned, great. And if I don't, cool. It's making a ton of money. I also have RDTL, so that's worth mentioning, right? RDTL is uncovered and will remain uncovered as I work back towards my 69,420 cost basis, which is now 66.69 after buying some more shares at the bottom here, somewhere down here. So that's nice. And yeah, this way, if we do really shoot up, I'm still happy to capture that upside. And this has actually been, RDTL has been one of my bags since September. And that's what, okay, let's start talking what I came and promised that we would talk about, which is the year in review. Hey, Flox and RM. Oh, we got the whole crowd here today. Awesome. Happy New Year. Good to see you. You're not, thanks, RM. You're not on the toilet today watching this, right? Hopefully they let you go on a Friday night. So yeah, year in review. I put some numbers in today, and this is kind of funny. I almost feel like I'm cheating a little bit, if I'm honest. But I'm glad to hear that, RM. I feel like I'm cheating because the numbers change so dramatically from literally the last trading day of last year, which was Wednesday, and then today. Today was a 5.5%, 5.4% increase for the portfolio, which was $60,000. That's insane, right? That's a big day on a fairly diversified port. I don't mean diversified effectively across sectors or bonds or things like that. It's just random companies. But that was like a really bullish day. So I'm up year to date. Today I'm up 5.4%. Silly. And because of that, I look like I was only up 40%, or 38.9%, we'll be exact, from end of December to end of December 2024 to 2025. Now, absolute value, good, right? Let's break out the calculator here. I was clear all this out. I don't remember what those numbers are from. I was calculating stuff earlier. So let's just open up a fresh one to not distract anyone. And 1082 minus 821. So absolute value was an increase of 260,000, which was 38.9%, which is more important. The percentage is more important, but I'm trying to ground the numbers here a little bit. And then, because if I add 60,000 to that, right, 321, which would be plus 821, would be 1142 divided by 821. That'd be 39%? Oh, this is measuring the wrong number. That's why. Okay. Okay. So, so the number's actually lower. This is good. Let's fix this. So, this is probably what we should really say is it was 39%. But the real number is that it's going to show is 32%. That's a big difference from a day, from a single day. And that's the interesting thing about tracking net liquid value, NLV, is it's less meaningful as a snapshot. Now, my high was like 1.350 on this particular portfolio, which was amazing, right? That was a fantastic place to be. And then we dropped for 2 months straight, basically all of November and December. Premiums fell off because I was like, well, we're just going to hold off. We're not going to force anything. I did take one loss of selling deck, got out of that and took a 12K loss on deck, which no regrets there. Actually, it was bigger. It was 18K loss on deck to get out of that. But like overall, outside of the deck loss, there was not really much booked in terms of losses. And what's crazy is we show 600K in premiums earned for all of 2025, which by the way is 50% of the entire port. Insane. Super, super happy with that. But we didn't go up 50%, right? And the reason is because some of the stocks, some of the underlying went down. But that's where I look at this and I go, okay, right now in the macro environment we're in, the stocks went down. And that's going to happen. We're going to have months, maybe even years in the future where there are some down times. And we can keep wheeling. We've made some premiums along the way. But what's been cool is the number of shares that I have of basically every holding has increased pretty dramatically. And just the last couple of weeks have been nice because I haven't really bought anything outside of a couple of leaps, which are really just cash, right? So this number has gone up nicely. This was down to like $2,000 at one point. And I haven't done anything but sell some lower delta options and manage them a little bit closer because they're under cost basis for a lot of these equities while we're down in the dumps. And it's added up. And now there's almost 40K to play with to make more investments when stocks are depressed. And that is the real beauty of this strategy, assuming you're buying stocks that you like, which I can guarantee if you're like me, you found out there's some stocks that you don't like and you don't want to own. For me, Archer, I kind of want to get out of long term. I'm not a huge fan of them. The more I'm kind of with them. You might think I think that about Bull, which is down like 40%. But I long term, I think Bull will be fine. And the nice thing is, I continue to get shares. In fact, I should probably buy some more now that we're at 8, and I've generated a whole bunch of premium with them again on these existing shares and contracts. So it's a way to average down, even in down markets, to get more shares, which if we assume that things go up and to the right, which they historically do, then when the balloon expands again, the balloon is bigger. You have more in the balloon to expand to when we get back to all-time highs. And if I were to do the math and spend the probably hour it would take me to figure out, okay, based on where I was at my high of like 1.3, if everything that I have today get back to those values, what would it be? My guess is it would be, actually I could tell you, it's going to be 800 plus the 600K of premiums at least, right? It's going to be 1.42 and then some, the continued growth of these underlying. So probably like 1.6. And that's kind of how I frame it in my mind of getting through some of the tough times where, it doesn't feel right to buy when your stock has dropped. Crazy to say, right? Because everybody knows you buy low and you sell high. But what happens? People, when things drop, it's people don't want to buy more because they're like, but it might drop more. Well, but that's where you need to start thinking about maybe you just dollar cost average down. And dollar cost averaging down, again, if we assume that these things will eventually recover, which already we're seeing just in one day, now that the tax loss harvesting's over, that'll be a huge change. That'll be a huge increase for you. Not only will your cost basis drop, so when you do get back to all-time highs, it's an even bigger gain. But yeah, I mean, the shares that you're buying, obviously, they're going to see huge appreciation over time. So, and it lets you sell more contracts over time because eventually you'll get more multiples of 100 shares. And it may not happen in a week, but it could happen in 2 months. You might gain another 100 shares that you can purchase at lower prices. And like I'm looking at CoreWeave, and my cost basis is still way over what I have right now, what I've got here, but I've got enough where I could sell more CSPs at a very low price at 70 and get some decent premium for it. And if it drops back to 70, I've just averaged down again. Like I'm okay with that. But it all comes back to really liking the stocks that you're in. And I look at this list, and generally on this list, there's not a whole lot that I want out of. Am I too heavy on a couple things? Yeah. I mean, I'm heavy on Reddit. Okay. I'm like very heavy on Reddit right now. I'm looking at the number and it's 350K. That's 37%, 36%. Am I going to rebalance? No. It's my high conviction play. Obviously it's been paying off, so I'm cool with that too. But eventually I'll get out of the RDTL. At what point? I don't really know. I haven't decided. But I'm a long-term Reddit holder, so I will wait. I will wait to see where it goes. My target's $500 for the stock, and until we get there, I plan on holding it. CoreWeave, I'm heavy on, probably too heavy. I'd like to get this back down to maybe 10%. Bulls at 10%, arguably a little heavy. NBIZ also at 10% between that and NBIL, so that's fine. But if we add NBIZ and CoreWeave, now 20%, 25% of my port is in AI data center plays, right? So I think if I can collectively bring both of those plays to closer to maybe 15%, that's an adjustment I'll make. I got a bunch of GME, which honestly I'm fine with. It's a fun stock that I continually wheel forever. It's honestly gotten less sexy, less exciting. But you've heard me rant about it before, probably. I believe in this long term, not for the reasons that people believed in it 4 years ago, whenever the squeeze was. I believe in it for different reasons now, the whole card grading stuff that I've talked about. HIMS is depressing for sure, but I'm also debating, is this where I double down? The fact is, I think I'd like to get out of HIMS and replace it with more Lilly, which is what I really love. I do love Lilly. Oscar, same thing. Maybe both of these combined. Eventually I get out and buy all Lilly with that. Pattern is fine. Speculative. Archer, like I said, I'd like to get out of that. Maybe I get out of Archer and put it into ONS in the future and just have one. Or Joby. They're different. One is commercial. One is defense, obviously, but you get the idea. And I'll get out of LightPath. So, and there's a couple other tiny positions, like Clove. I've got 2,000 shares, which is like $4,000, $5,000. So it doesn't even make the list. I guess it's about the same size as LightPath, but I could only pick one. They're both covered, and if both get called away, I'm happy with it. So yeah, overall, for the year, very happy with the results. The last couple of months were painful. I think that's true for most people who are selling options on stock that have enough IV to do anything outside of maybe Tesla, being a bigger large cap stock, obviously. So, from here, where do we go? And 2026, what does it look like? Well, for one, I got to update my spreadsheet. For another thing, you can see hey, when things are good and cooking, you gotta cash in a little bit, right? You got to take advantage of those times and get paid when you can get paid. And we did that all summer long. So the fact that, first off, the slow start isn't even really representative because I was intentionally being slow. So if we really just look at April on, that is more representative. So like, what is, if we look at January to December, 600K, the average was 50. But if we looked at just April to December, the average is 60. That I think is more representative of what I'm hoping to see as the new baseline for 2026 a month, which, as you can imagine, is 720K for next year. I think that's a good goal. Maybe we'll up it a little bit to 750. That would be fantastic. And on the port value, that looks too big almost. But again, I fully expect recovery continuing into the depths of Q1, where that will be a bigger number to begin with, and so the percentage to get 750 out of that will not be nearly as intimidating as it is on, basically. Otherwise, I'm saying I want a 75% return, which is also reasonable, but I think 50% is really where I want to be. Look, I want to be at 500%. Okay, we want the highest number possible, but as a target, I'm happy with 50%. So that's kind of it. That's where my head's at. Hey Shane, happy New Year. Sorry if I missed you earlier. And yeah, this has been great. We've got a couple of things covered, getting called away this particular week. I'll hit that real quick. Honestly, I don't think it's too important to hit this week's particular activity because they didn't do a whole lot. Again, I didn't really do that much in November and December in general. I've really been only playing Reddit heavily, and that's been driving pretty much all of my results. Like if I look at, does my calculator thing here work? I forget if I broke it permanently or not. Yeah, I mean Reddit has done whatever 174 over 600 is. What is that? A large percentage, almost 30% of all premiums this year has been from Reddit. That's crazy. Like that's pretty nutso, right? And that's all I've really focused on in the last couple of months because it pays. It pays me every time. I know it like the back of my hand. I feel like I can predict it a bit, and not perfectly. Nobody can, right? Like I didn't know today we were going to go to 242 or 241, wherever we closed at. But I also feel fine about that. I'm like, yeah, okay, shares are called away. I could have bought it back and made a little bit less on the premiums this week, and instead I let it ride out, and that's totally cool. So yeah, not a whole lot this week. We did a Hims single day play for $250 or whatever it was. This is on average, so let me sum that up. 230. Oh, it says in the comments. CoreWeave, we bought the close a roll for $300, and this is where it's a great example of like, let stuff get called away. If I didn't roll this, I would have made more money, and that's because if you look at the chart on CoreWeave, we had this ridiculous spike to 90. It looked like, right? We hit 87 and change. Whoops, just trying to move Oscar apparently. We hit 87 and change, so I rolled. I rolled to 100C in January 16th. And then we just slow burn death back to 70. So had I not rolled, for one, it never would have got assigned. And two, I would have already completed the trade because it would have expired last Friday. And three, I basically just tied up that capital unnecessarily. Again, you don't know this is going to happen, but this is the problem that we always face as traders. When a stock is going up, it feels like it's always going to go up, and you're going to miss out on gains that go to $1 million, right? But that very rarely happens. More likely, we see this happen where we drop, and then we drop and we chop, we drop and we chop, and we slowly climb the stairs back up instead of the elevator. Elevator down, although right here was elevator up too. And then it was escalator down. And okay, never mind. It doesn't work on CoreWeave. The point is, if we did nothing, we would have been more profitable than trying to manage the position. And that's why sometimes you're better off just not looking at it. So that's what I did with Reddit this time. Call away at 235, and we'll sell 235p probably next week. Will we do it immediately at Monday morning open? Probably not. I might wait maybe even till Tuesday. But we have the fully flexible position of cash, which is amazing. That's where you want to be more than anything else, right? That lets you do anything. We don't even have to buy Reddit. We could do something else. If there's, I mean, I'll probably buy Reddit. I love Reddit. But otherwise, we could, if we wanted, choose any other stock or underlying in the world instead of it because we're in the most flexible position, which is cash. So yeah, looking good there. Made a bunch in December on Reddit. I think I was doing the math earlier, and it was something like 12K, which is not a bad job. What did I do here? Oh, that's right. I got to clear that. Then Reddit. Then we select it. Then we hit OK. And then if we just look at December numbers, which I guess I won't even count this week's then in that case. We'll go back to November. Well, we'll look at December. December was 12K. And if we add November to that, it was another 5K. And if we go back to October, I mean, yeah, obviously we know the number goes up. So it's been good. It's been good. And I'll probably keep playing with it because it's been so good. All right, that's kind of it. Like I did the HIMS trade, I did the CoreWeave roll, I did Reddit, and in Archer, just not believing. Oh yeah, I did an 850C, and I was like, "There's no way we're gonna get there. Might as well cash in on the shares and get whatever that is, $9 times 30, so $270. Oh, well, this shows 240. It's not. This is more conservative than what it actually is because it uses Vanguard coding where it's $1 a contract. Yeah, it was great. Good week. I'm thrilled with it. So that's it. That's where we go from here. I apparently need to fix a spreadsheet so it's set up for 2026. I'll set a new goal for 2026 here, I guess. Maybe I'll take the thermometer off. Well, whatever. Other people might want to use it. I'll leave it on there. I can't wait to see the deck disappear, the deck loss disappear that I got out of. But yeah, super happy with it. Hey, Justin, Happy New Year to you as well. I think it started off with a bang, that's for sure. I think I saw Salty Meat had the biggest percent increase for the day that I saw of 9%, 9.3% on his port, which is awesome. Now, I will say he has Pew in his port, I'm pretty sure still. And Pew still didn't have a good day, despite everything. Oh my goodness. What a sad stock, huh? What is the low here? $3? Gross. Oh, I'm sorry. Salty, if you're on, I apologize. I'm not trying to rub it in. I'm just like, I'm blown away at how bad this one fell from grace. Wild drop. You sold too? Last month was definitely the time to sell. Better than this month, 100%. It's just been gross. What was the earnings? The earnings? Well, okay. Look, when you miss your earnings by 1,300%, maybe that's not good. Maybe that's not good. You were supposed to make money. Instead, you lost money. What? Yeah, not good. All right. So that's my year in review at a very quick but high level. I do have some other things that I was going to mention, and one of them is lessons learned. And there's a few. One is I've generally had a rule where I don't want to jump into something that is at an all-time high. So, like, we could just look at what do we got here? What did Google do today? Google had a good run today too, I think, right? Well, it did. It was green at one point. Now it's red. So maybe that's not a good example. Well, actually, it is because when Google ran up to 330 or whatever we hit up here, I had gotten out at 300 or somewhere over here. It was in this vicinity, and I thought about getting back in again. And I looked at it. I was like, after this run up from 142 that I rode up to 280, whatever, so made a bunch there. I don't want to get back in here, and I'm not going to. And if we look at the weekly, maybe that shows it a little bit better. Where See how you start extending really far away from the ADMA? Like whenever you get like this, that's when it's hands off. In fact, that was the case here back at 300. I was like, all right, I'm taking a breather from this one. And people will be like, this is when people tell you it's going to 600 because like we said earlier, it feels like when a stock goes up, it's only ever going to go up, which is true in to a degree, right? Like there's momentum and all that. I mean, we saw that with Palantir where like look at the run up they had. Absolute wild. But even they've kind of petered out a little bit finally. Now, calling the top is hard, right? Let me delete this stupid cup that I drew. Calling the top's hard, and we don't know what the top is. My point is, if you've enjoyed this run up, and especially if you've exceeded your targets, it's okay to get out. And so I did. That's where my lesson learned is when I have a target and we hit it, sell into that. So like for me, Reddit, like I've talked about before, my target is 500. If it goes to 600 over 500, I'm going to sell into that curve and get out and take in one case that's going to be 1,000% profit on my original shares, right? So like I'm okay with that. Could it go higher? Yeah, for sure. I mean, it probably will, but like that's what I signed up for. That's where I see the run going. Now, that's one rule. Another rule that I've got is let's look at UNH. This one hurts for me to look at, but I'm going to do it anyway. Here's the thing that I've kind of learned on gaps. And gaps are they're not only there's a propensity to fill gaps. Let's go to the daily on this because the daily shows gaps better, right? But we tend to test off gap lines, and that's both the opening gap and the closing gap. So this is interesting because I didn't even realize this on UNH. We basically split above here, and I bought leaps. We split above here, and that's fine. We started to exist here. But then look what happened. We get to the top of the gap, and we didn't just continue to go up. That I think a lot of people, myself included, thought, well, surely we're going to go to the upper gap next, right? This top of gap line, and there's gap number 2. But you have to remember these gap lines are also support and resistance lines. So this is I wish I do. I have some regret here of I should have sold to close my leaps and then waited for a better entry. And now we're wedging, and I think we're going to explode back up. So whatever. I got forever on this leap anyway. It goes through January of 2027. So it's not a big deal. But I could have been more efficient with the capital and got back in down here. Now, this happened also very recently with, what was it? TTD? Was TTD one of them? Yeah, TTD was one. Look at this. Look at this. We get to the bottom of the big ass gap, which looks wrong because we're in log. Let me change it to regular. We got to the bottom of the big ass gap, and we tested it pretty close to it. You know what? Let me fix that a little bit. This line should be down about there. We tested pretty close. Now we actually stopped at the 50 SMA, so that should have been the indicator to me to sell to close. And I didn't. This is one that I'm not only bag holding, but I'm thinking it's highly probable that I sell this one at a loss because this one I only have until the end of June, which is not that much time. Is there a possibility that we cup here and we get back to the gap line? Yeah, but then I'm out. Like I'm definitely out at that point. And you can see this happens in a lot of scenarios. GT is one that I'm in right now, and this one's slightly different because it's a long dated one, so I'm like fine holding it, but we're at the bottom of the gap and we're really struggling to break through. Now, the reason I haven't done anything on this one is because we didn't just test it, which arguably, again, I didn't think about this at the time. Should have sold it right here. Should have sold it when we tested that. Looked for a better entry point. I'm not sure I would have picked a better entry point. I probably would have just been out had I gotten out on GT because volume is low and it's the spreads suck. So like it's not a great leap to own, honestly. It'll eventually sell when it's time, but like it again, that's part of why I wasn't in a rush to try to get out. So we've broken through, and then we dipped a little bit, but we broke through. So we're hovering on GT. And the other thing is, this happened during December, which was a very rough month for many stocks. But we continually have closed above here, so I'm willing to see where we go. Now, my top of gap is the leap target. 100% if we touch this, I'm out. I'm so out because of what we talked about. This is going to be likely a very strong resistance line again. Now, there's another resistance line on the way, which is the 200 SMA, likely to be strong resistance potentially at 927, or it'll come down a little bit by the time we go up to test it. The good news is we had a golden cross. That this was the other thing. So you got to put all this in together and mix it into the blender and see what comes out. But with the golden cross and all the other bullishness that I've talked about here of really breaking through this resistance, I'm good for a bit. But I'm out here based on my lessons learned that I was just talking about. So is that 100% true? No, probably not. AI, same deal. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Could have got out. Where did I buy the leaps here? Maybe I bought the leaps here. So, yeah, there's just no hope for me on this one. It's going to be a while if this ever breaks out. Could be another Adam and Eve bottom, potentially. V into a roundedness shape. But, like, again, when we get to the bottom of the gap next time, I'm out again. And that might be at a loss. I'm not sure. We'll see. It depends. If we break through it immediately, fine. We can let that ride again because then our next resistance line is the top of the gap or the 200 SMA. But man, we got a lot of work to do on AI, right? We got to break through all of these EMAs, SMAs, just to get to the gap line. So that's definitely been a long learning or a big learning for me in terms of exiting leaps and when to just take your profit and run. Because right now UNH for me is down. I think the leap's down like 30% or something. And at one point it was up 20 when we touched the gap, when we touched the top of the gap. So like, I'm not worried, and I think it'll recover just fine. We're probably going to have to wait till the next earnings, whatever. That's actually not that far away, end of January, right? Great. But overall, and also, again, we're squeezing. So if we hit this line, I'm out for UNH, and I'll just wait. Although, I don't know. You got to put it all into the blender, see what shakes out. This one could happen around the time of earnings. So I may hold on to that. I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth. But yeah, that's the craziness here. For GT, the breakthrough looked to have bigger volume. Let me look at GT. Let's see what you're saying here. Maybe. Well, this was a big one for sure, but this was around earnings. And then we had really stable volume, but it was not like historically super high. It is a little bit higher if you go back far enough, I would say, on average. But now, yeah, the volume has been pretty good this last few days here. So it's been a nice little bump up. And the drop was, you're right, the drop was consolidation. So we can look at this and say, this, even though we're hovering on the support line, not particularly scary because it was on low volume. Also unsurprising because it was Christmas week. So again, you always have to, you can look at a chart, but you can't look at it in a vacuum. You have to consider things like, yeah, what time of year is it? Are we near earnings? Are we seeing other wild things happen in the marketplace or the market itself or tariffs or who knows? I think I also saw on the weekly a bull flag too. Like, I mean, I think there's an argument here that we are in a bull flag right now with GT on the weekly. Let me get rid of my stupid arrow here. Well, it was the cup and handle, right? So that's right. It was the cup and handle. And then, yeah, okay. Maybe I don't want to call it a bull flag then. It could be. It would be a shorter form bull flag, and we might need another week of chop before we break out of it. But still, I think it's bullish. I definitely think they're bullish right now, and I'm going to hold on to them until we get to the top of gap leap target. But this is where you have to decide. Like, let's assume we hit this. What is going to go through your mind when that happens? Or my mind, because you all probably don't have GT leaps of all things. And there's a couple things like, well, it could keep going up. And that's true. It could. But what if it doesn't? What if it does what UNH did? How am I going to feel in that scenario? And I could tell you, crappy, right? I mean, look at this. This happened. We hit the top of the gap. The same day, it dropped back all the way down to from 377 to 365. It felt like it was going to go up forever during that day when that candle was forming. And what happened? Well, you can see. It's pretty obvious. I probably don't need to spell it out. But here we are. And if this happens on GT and I lose 2 months of tying up capital, for what? I don't love GT that much. I don't love UNH that much. That's the thing that's annoying about it, right? So I've got the same for Novo. I just bought leaps here after the gap up, which is arguably risky to some degree. But let's look at the weekly on this one, actually. I think if you look at the weekly, though, you go like, oh, no, this is good, right? We're definitely making a turn for the better here. We had a double bottom going on, and ADMA is going up on the weekly, starting to curve up. We just got to give this one a little bit of time, but I think this is bullish. So, but from a target perspective, if we touch the 200, I'm out. I don't even care about the gap here. Because we're already in the gap. This is a weird one. We already kind of filled it. There's a lot going on. But look at this. This is the top of this gap is all the way up here. I'm not waiting for that. This is where I think, it's more likely that we're going to get resistance over here from where we've experienced it before in the recent past, right? We got to break through this. Whatever was causing us to psychologically think 60 is the limit right now, well, I'll be out. I'll definitely be out before then. If we hit the 200 SMA, see you later. Again, not married to this stock. I don't care about it that much. But that's how I think you need to think about it is what's your target and why is your target what it is? And it probably should tie a little bit into either support and resistance lines from gaps or otherwise. You're just, if we look at Archer as an example, where if I had leaps on Archer right now, can you guess where I would get out? Can anyone guess? Can anyone guess? I mean, seems pretty obvious, right? Sell most, leave a runner. For Novo, no. For some things, yes. Yeah, and that's fair. That's fair. That's worth mentioning. Like GT as an example, if I sold at my target, I think that's 100% profit. So if I were to leave a couple of contracts to see where they end up, you're right. That ain't nothing wrong with that. But at the same point, I'm not sure I care about watching GT. Like I kind of want to just delete GT from my watch list at that point. I don't know if I want to be staring at it for that long. While my next resistance line is back at 12, I guess in that case, what I would do is the math for what those couple of contracts would return going from 10 to 12. And it's actually pretty simple. It would be another $2 a share in intrinsic value plus whatever premiums, which wouldn't really likely change that much. If anything, theta decay would eat a little way away at that. So that would be not quite, that wouldn't be another 100% increase, meaning 200% off the original. So, I mean, it could be worth it, but if it just drops back down, I'd be happy that I got fully out of the position. Now I got 25 contracts for GT. They were super cheap. They were like $2, 265 or 235 or whatever they were. So there's definitely an argument to, well, they don't cost you much, so why don't you just hold them? Yeah, I don't know. I'll think about that. I don't care about it I saw it as a value play, and as always, as is typical for me, I got in a little bit too early over here. But for sure, this would be a good sell point at 10. So maybe the answer is why complicate it? Take the money and move on. That's probably where I'm going to fall with this one. If it was Lilly and a stock that I really enjoy and long term I continue to be bullish on, maybe I would think differently, or Reddit, obviously. But in the case of Goodyear Tire, probably not. I'll probably get out of it. But the thought's good though. The thought's totally cool. I totally agree with that. The thought process is something you should be considering when looking at these. Good point. Good point. Yeah. So, which by the way, Lilly, holy bullishness. That's on the daily. What's the weekly? The weekly is also super bullish. And Golden Cross on the weekly a week or two ago. Very nice. Called this retracement, by the way. Another good example of like, don't get into a stock here. After this type of parabolic run, let it retest. Don't go crazy. Why go crazy? Somebody was asking me about, was it gold? They're like, oh, are you getting in on gold right now here? I'm like, no. Why would you buy gold at the absolute all-time top ever? And oh, by the way, it's a tweezer. Engulfing bearish. Blech. Not fully engulfing, but maybe pretty close. And oh, by the way, this is on the weekly. I am not touching this with a 10-foot pole, even if we did backtest the ADMA. F that, man. Could it go up to 5,000? Yeah, of course. But this is where, again, you got to put the line in the sand somewhere. Where do you feel comfortable with this? Meanwhile, I'm like, hey, what happened to Adobe? Did anybody ever figure out what happened to Adobe? With the drop that they had today? Oh my goodness. I don't know, and I want to know. Minus 5%. Holy. But I'm thinking about swinging Adobe G again here. If we get back down to these lower points, I'm totally considering that. Very glad we got out of that swing trade when we did, by the way. That paid off. But yeah, we might look at Adobe G at, what was this down here? 8? Yeah, dude, if we had 8, I might be back in for a little bit. Maybe get ourselves another MacBook Air. MacBook Air number 7 from Adobe G swing trades. I only ever bought one of them, but you could. Hey, Jenny. You know, I actually still use Adobe Express, and I think it's pretty good. The AI in Adobe is terrible, which is comical because everybody's worried that Adobe's going to die out to AI. Also, part of me wonders if any of this has to do with the recently improved ChatGPT imaging. Like, they just had a pretty big upgrade if you pay for it, and that might be that might be another driver of every time that happens, Adobe's just going to eat it. So maybe it's not time. But no matter what, I wouldn't get back in after this. I would wait a little bit. I think it's more likely we're going to bleed off some more. Again, I don't know why. I hear that a lot, though, that people... Okay, let me correct myself. I don't hear a lot that people don't use Adobe products anymore. I actually hear that a lot of people do. And that's why I've been willing to, like, partake here. Oh, we touched that support line again. Look at that. Look at that support line, which, by the way, goes back forever. That's interesting. I might... we're probably going to drop below it again, but it is interesting how we're constantly hovering around this line. So, you know what? Maybe I need to dig into Adobe some more. I'm curious if WTF is still holding it. He was buying it in bulk And by bulk for him, I think that means tens of millions of dollars here, like in this area, and not just down here, but like all over here. And I wonder if he got out or if he's still holding. I gotta check that out too. You only use Adobe Acrobat? That's like only using WinRAR. You know, like you're a dinosaur, but you think Illustrator and Photoshop are not going anywhere. I tend to agree, Justin. I do. Yeah, I mean, it could be. I don't have the whale indicator. What is it? Does anyone know what that one's called? Oh, you know what? MACD, I bet looks pretty interesting right now. We got a lot of converging moving averages. Very interesting. I don't really care to look at it much longer. But what is the whale trend analysis? Thank you. I do not have that one. Let me add that one. Whoops, trend analysis. We'll give that one the star. How about that? Okay. So, does anyone remember or know what the different colors mean? Because I don't, without like looking into it. Style. Don't you need to explain your tool somewhere? Why does that not exist? Maybe they do and I just don't know. Settings is the only thing that I can do. About? Maybe it's about. Whale trend analysis. Okay. Large entity whales are always smart. They hide in the market to make money. Learning how they operate, we will become smarter. How to distinguish the structure of participants. Find the large entities or giant whales. This is a difficult problem. Who wrote this? Okay, what do we care about? Light blue is large entities. Red is whales. Green is large investors. And gray is retail. So, that means the market continues to rise, but large entities and whales disappear. Retail traders are trading intensively. Yep. Okay, let's go back. Okay, well, hey, we just learned something. I didn't know you could find out about the indicator. That's awesome. So yeah, that means that there are whales. They were buying here. The red was the whales. Large entities is blue. I'm assuming that means like ETFs maybe, and then large investors are like WTF. Maybe I assume long maybe falls into that category, and then the gray is retail. But they don't show. We see that on the buy, right? But I guess we see it on the reds too. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you can. Does this mean that the whales were accumulating or unloading? You know what I mean? I'm not really sure. But we learned how to use the indicator, so that's kind of cool. Oh, look at you. Oh, hey, Kodu. I didn't even know you were here. You're sneaky, and you're the one that said it that I read. Okay, all right. You're all edumacating me as I found the the secret RTFM. Does anyone know what that? I wonder how many people know what that acronym is. What that means. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. It looks like it's mostly retail, based on that. Outside of a couple of large investors maybe got out. That seems overblown. So the volume is high but not like out of control. Yeah, Kodu knows. Awesome. I don't know. I don't know. This is a mystery. I think we'll probably get some information uh, in the not too distant future. I don't know. I'm looking at this though, and I'm just nothing sounds negative, which is probably why they were doing okay here, and then they maybe wedged and broke out down. I just reverting back to the comfort level of this long-term support. There's no story here for me to make out of this right now, and I don't see any like all of a sudden bearish formations outside of the general trend is obviously bearish, especially on the weekly and the monthly. Like the monthly is getting pretty nasty, not too far off from a monthly golden cross. I mean, I say not too far off. Technically, that would be like 6 to 8 months away. So it's pretty far away. The weekly's bearish, right? And we're seeing the 100 cross over the 200 here in the next couple of weeks, probably. So that's kind of nasty. But I still I don't think that would drive it. Seems unlikely. Who knows? All right. Well, that's it for what I'm looking at as my year in review and my year in the future. We're going to do a little bit better at diversification. We're going to get out of a couple of positions that are over levered, and especially with 2Xs. Like 2Xs is the real reason why my port is down what it's down right now is 2Xs. I like 2Xs, but then you just have to be prepared to bag hold for quite a while, which is, I guess, also another learning. Really, really choose your 2X positions wisely. And while it's fun to possibly swing trade in these positions, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Like, look, if I thought that we were chopping right now on Adobe G and got in at, I don't know, 10.28, and we're down a full dollar on 1,000 shares, because that's what it would have been. I mean, that would be $1,000 gone. That sucks. That would suck. So you gotta be careful with the 2Xs. They're two times as painful. It's nice on the upside, but you gotta be careful on the downside too. Which, I mean, I think everybody knows that, but saying it and knowing it and enacting it effectively are different things. And that's what we want to be mindful of. I think that's it. Unless anyone's got any tickers they want to look at, or questions or comments. Thanks for joining me through this year. I guess I mean, I haven't been live streaming for the whole year, but it's been fun to do. I'm going to continue to do it. Hopefully people get something out of it. I know not every week is as exciting as every week, but especially the last couple of weeks that have been slow volume. But today was fun from the 15 percenters that we had out there. More if you had 2Xs in some of these. 30%, man. Holy. ASTX, thank you very much. And yeah, we'll keep it going. So if you didn't, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I have to say it at some point. Check out the Theta Daddies. I think most of you are Theta Daddies. And I'll be there all weekend. I'll see you across the weekend. Wish me luck at the cold plunge tomorrow. It's going to be, I'll post a picture in the Discord. The water's covered in ice, so it's legit. And it's going to be real feel 20, 21 degrees or something tomorrow morning. So that'll be fun, but looking forward to it. It's invigorating. We'll call it that anyway. Until then, thanks again for tuning in. Hope you all have a good weekend. And yeah, let's get it this year. Let's show the market that they can't beat us down too much. Or they can try, but we're not going anywhere because we're masochists that like money. And so we're going to keep fighting. All right. Good night.